Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here. I'm really excited because we are going to check out the world's thinnest foldable phone, the Honor Magic V3. When folded, it's only 9.2 millimeters thick, so closing in on the exact same as a regular candy bar style phone. With it being so thin, it's also really light. It packs a triple camera setup. It even comes with a super useful case on the folding phone. And don't worry, I'll put it up against other top foldable phones that are out now. So let's dive into it, take a quick look what comes in the box, and then of course get some hands-on with the brand new Honor Magic V3. Let's get started. And here it is, the Honor Magic V3. Flipping it open, you do have the phone right away. I'm gonna set that to the side and love to see this. Check out how many extras they're including. First of all, a SIM ejection tool, plus I believe a case. And I just got even more excited because I don't know what color they sent, and the back of this case is green, and I really wanted to check out that green color. But again, awesome that they include this. Actually feels really high quality as well, and this ring will pop out as a kickstand. We'll put this on the phone just a little bit later on in the video. Not only a case, but look at this, a charging brick. I really hate that I have to call this an extra. This is a 66 watt Honor supercharged via USB Type A, and just a quick look at those specs. And last but not least, a charging cable USB Type A to USB Type C with orange accents. So Honor's already setting itself apart, including that charging brick and case for your folding phone. A lot of other companies don't do that. Now, here we go. Just some care instructions for that internal display. Lets you know where some magnets are. I can already tell how crazy thin this phone is. Let's check it out for the first time. And they did send the green. There it is. Look at that, just so crazy thin. I'm also initially really impressed by this crease. Even with the screen off, it's hard to tell that it's there, so that's super impressive. But I'm gonna boot the phone up. While it boots up, let's take a closer look at the hardware of this foldable. When folded, this phone is only 9.2 millimeters thick. Just for a very quick comparison, here's the iPhone 15 Pro Max side by side. I'll do more comparisons in just a little bit. So down at the bottom, we've got your SIM card slot, USB Type-C port, microphone, and one of your speakers. Moving along on the right side here, you've got your power button on one side and your volume rockers on the other side, just a little bit different than some other designs I've seen. Make note, there is a camera bump. It doesn't protrude out too much, so to speak, but there's definitely one there. Up at the top, you've got a microphone, an IR blaster. That's really nice, so you can control things like your TV with your phone. You do have another speaker and a microphone, and then just a closer look at that hinge there. Now let's unfold this while it's zoomed in so you can really see just how crazy thin that is. Unfolded, it's only 4.35 millimeters thick, but you'll see that camera bump does take up some space. A closer look at that really clean green color to see Honor down at the bottom, and moving along up towards the top is just a close look at that very unique camera shape. This Honor Falcon camera system is a triple camera setup. You have a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, which uses the Sony IMX906 sensor. You get a 50 megapixel periscope telephoto lens. And finally, a 40 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. Really solid camera system in a folding phone. I'm excited to test it out. And of course, don't forget, there are some AI features that we'll talk about in just a little bit. Our Honor Magic V3 is all set up and ready to go in the hand. It's so comfortable, just feels very similar to a normal phone, but look, you can actually flip it open. Now, I want to do that a few times just so you can get an idea. It's actually really satisfying when it opens all the way. So you'll notice it does have a little bit of a sound when I aggressively open it like that, but it's just it hits a point where it will obviously snap into place, and it does open completely flush. I did notice there is a pre-installed screen protector on this outside display. I do recommend leaving the screen protector on, but for the sake of the video, Always satisfying. This is a 6.43-inch OLED display, 20:9 aspect ratio, so just what you're looking for in just a normal phone. On top of that, the brightness gets up to 5,000 nits, screen refresh rate up to 120 hertz, and the screen resolution is 2376 by 1060, in case you were wondering. But onto the screen that you actually care about, that internal screen. I like that little subtle animation there, adding a little more color to our 7.92-inch OLED inside display. Really close to square, but not quite. You can tell that it is a little bit longer on this side. You have a 2344 by 2156 resolution, so as you can tell, not quite square, but let's actually go into that display, because out of the box, I'd like to point out that refresh rate set to dynamic. You can actually force 120 hertz, or you can bump it down to 60 hertz to help save battery life. Something I have to point out, since the screen sort of indents down from the sides, when I'm pressing on the screen, it's just so noticeable how thin it is. It almost feels like my fingers are coming really close to touching. Honor's also really putting an emphasis on eye care and eye comfort, which I truly appreciate. Circadian night display, even defocus eye care. That is such a really neat feature to add. Natural tone, eye comfort if you want to filter out some of the blue light, and check out how high that PWM frequency is. Jumping over to foldable phone settings. First of all, global taskbar, you can turn that on or off, but you just swipe up and that's there. You can get to all of your applications. That's super nice. I'm definitely keeping that on. But you also have fold the phone settings, which is huge, because when you want to continue an app, it currently is on, but you can actually have it turn off so that it will turn the screen off and lock the phone. However, what I find is it's better to do it on a per app basis, but this isn't giving you that option. Now here's an interesting one. You can have it stay on when you're looking at the phone. So what if I just close my phone? I'm not looking at it actually, I'm looking at the screen, but okay, so it's just more of a timeout. I see how it is. So it's going to stay on, but you'll notice that it locked because I'm not looking at it. Now I'm going to close it, but I'm going to actively be looking at the screen, and you'll notice it's not going to lock because it senses that I'm actually looking at the screen and I can continue using the phone. So that's actually pretty useful. That's a good way to do it. I'm going to have to test this out a little bit more, but you'll notice if I close it, I'm not looking at it again. The timeout is maybe 2 seconds. Onto our triple camera setup. New camera, knows you better, recognizes scenes, optimizes images, professional grade, try now. So let's go into it for the first time, and just right away I'm going to snap just some quick pictures to test that shutter speed. Let me actually get out of that menu and just start snapping. There we go. Seems to be very quick and snappy overall. Ultra wide, you can go to 2x here, but then you can go all the way up to 3.5x, which again is that telephoto lens, so that's optical zoom. You have a lot of different modes, of course, portrait and aperture modes. You can control the f-stop and the blur on the background, a night mode. Now, when it comes to video, if we go over here and select, you can shoot all the way up to 4K, so no 8K recording, but 4K 60 frames per second. There's a movie mode as well, which allows you to record in 10-bit log. You do even have preset filters like sunsplash, focus, dazzling, nostalgia, and gloomy. Of course, a very useful pro mode, so you can completely customize your shot how you want it. And then going into more is where you can use that super macro mode. Also high res if you want to fully take advantage of the megapixels in that camera lens. And it's a foldable, so you want to take advantage of those rear cameras. First of all, a nice one where you can just preview the images that you take. That is always useful. But on the left side here, you can have the cover screen preview on, so you can actually see yourself, or the person you're taking a picture of can frame their shot, and you can utilize all three of these rear lenses while you're taking a selfie. Also, you can swipe over and select that, and it will use the rear selfie. That'll turn off that internal display to make it much easier to take those selfies so you're not messing with anything on that inside screen. Also, really random, you can now use the screen on the outside, even though that internal display is off. I don't know why you would ever need to do this, but it's actually kind of cool if you want to take a picture and just share it real quick without having to actually flip the phone back to the internal display. And in case you're wondering, you can zoom all the way up 100 times. Honor has their AI motion sensing capture, which will notice smiling, motion, movement, if pets are running around. You have their AI portrait engine when using portrait mode, which was actually in partnership with Studio Harcourt. as well to fine tune the texture and the details surrounding your objects. Now in the gallery app, we can actually hit edit and there's an AI eraser tool and you can use a manual selection or a smart select. So let's say, for example, I wanted to get rid of this statue, just sort of highlight it. So now what it's going to do is it's actually going to recognize that object. Notice the outline is pretty spot on, honestly. And then it's going to just remove it. Oh, and look, it even put a little plant behind it. That actually isn't there. So that is an AI generated plant that they just sort of decided to put back there. So that's pretty interesting, but actually looks lifelike. So, and you also have manual selection to just completely erase an object that you want to remove. And side by side with some of the other latest foldable phones, first of all, rocking wise, the Magic V3 doesn't rock back and forth when closed. The OnePlus Open doesn't. The Galaxy Z Fold 6 does, though. That is one kind of downside to using it flat on a surface, and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold doesn't either. A quick comparison of the front screens next to them. Obviously a little bit different aspect ratio, especially with the Galaxy Z Fold 6. And a very quick look at the internal display side by side with all of these foldables. Again, with the taller front display on the Z Fold 6, you get a little bit of a different aspect ratio. But a lot of these are very close to square. Okay, don't try this one at home, but these do all stand up on their own. You got the Samsung, Google, and OnePlus, and then right behind it, just a look at the difference in how thin these are. You'll notice that the Pixel actually is pretty thin overall, but when you put it up next to that Samsung, there's a clear difference. And a much less dangerous comparison of it completely folded. I made sure to put Google's Pixel next to the Magic V3, but then obviously you can just see the difference in thickness. Crazy thin. Somehow, even with its very thin form factor, Honor included a 5150 milliamp hour silicon carbon battery. I mentioned 66 watts of wired charging, but it also has 50 watts of wireless charging, so fast wirelessly. And as promised, let's take a look at that included case. Like I said, it feels very premium, has some grip, a nice texture to it. Just snapping that on the back, seems to be really flush, really easy to add. And this front one, it does have pull tabs that if you're going to use the case, definitely pull those off because it will add grip to that front screen. I'm just leaving it off for now just because I want to actually use the phone without the case at the moment. But you'll notice it does have openings on the right and left side so you can reach those buttons easier up towards the top. Nice cutouts, even a cutout for that back camera. A really nice feature is that it protects the hinge from any drops. It will cover that. Now opening it up, it will pop off the front. I'm just gonna leave that front piece off for now and you know why. But opening it up, you'll notice that the hinge protection comes over that front screen just a little bit. Not a problem at all. That's actually a good thing because I'd rather have that hinge protection right there. And of course, like I had mentioned earlier, you have a ring that pops out. So you can actually, let's test this out in multiple ways. You can angle it any way you want when you're using just that outside screen. Now you also can angle it vertically if you want to, but what about if we have this completely unfolded? How's that going to work? You can go ahead and angle it any way you want. This way too, you'll notice it's just angle it this way, it'll lay a little bit more flat. You can pull it this way and it will be up a little bit higher. This is super useful, especially when you're on a plane. You want to just set your phone down and watch content. Anyways, that is it from me on the Honor Magic V3. For now, more to come. Be sure to click that subscribe button so you're notified when that content goes live. I'm excited to really test this out. I'll put my SIM card in here and actually put it through the ringer. But overall, well done, Honor. I'm really happy with how thin and light this phone actually is. It's starting to become the ideal foldable phone form factor and weight. Anyways, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to drop a comment as well. And as always, thanks for watching.